Listen, man, everybody's gonna have the reason of why this is good from the jump. The reason this is good for me is because they're handling age, they're handling the young X-Men members. Hisako Armor, it's not even a second guess. She's a cover character. She's over here saving Storm as she falls down because she's useful, asking questions like that. X-23, Laura, it looks like she's gonna get upgraded. Let's just jump to the end. It looks like she's about to age a whole bunch. Now, in this comic over here, I read that the enemies, the supernovas, the children of the atom, los niños de la Camera. I just read it like right before I read this one. Or as I was reading this one, I stopped. And then I picked up this joint because this had all the information that Sabretooth was explaining about the mission that he did, where he found a bunch of scientists and did a bunch of hits. And the final guy he was doing the hit on was the guy who created these children of the vault. And he kept them on this ship, the Conquistador, right off of Ecuador. And they're in international waters. And inside of this ship, there's this vault that they're the children of. And time passes there where 30 years, because it was 1977, 30 years from then would equal 6,000 years. And that's how these human beings evolved, adapted was the word actually. That explained that there. Then I came back here and I'm like, okay, I remember. Because honestly, that was a long time ago. But fucking Hickman is honoring stories that happened in the past. Like Mike Carey actually made sort of interesting villains. No one's really picked up on it. Jonathan Hickman will. So Serafini and her whole deal. We saw her in the first X-Men issue of this run. We see her again here. And it's interesting because they're very close to what Post-Humans is. And it's very close to what R.B. Silva was drawing in Powers of 10. Yo, man, R.B. Silva, I don't think I gave him enough credit for his artwork when we were doing House of X and Powers of X. Because I was more of a Hawks than I was a Pox. Pepe Larraz. Who, side note, I'll get back to R.B. Silva. I'll just finish the R.B. Silva point. He is a great artist. Marte Garcia is a great colorist. And this was on top of the world. Pepe Larraz, though, man, I don't know if he's drawing anything. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen him for anything last month or the month before. A couple of covers. Does that mean he's busy doing a weekly event? I don't know. Maybe when I read the preview pages for, I guess, 2 months from now in May, in April, maybe I'll see that Pepe Larraz is actually drawing something, so I'll shut up. But I think that he's up to another, like, weekly event. Because what's Hickman been doing, man? This guy's been writing this comic book only. And I guess he's been writing the Giant Size X-Men. Which, man, he should be doing more than just 2 comic books. Maybe being the head of X editor, maybe that's taking some of his time. Which, another side rant. My brain is like an internet browser. I just open up new tabs. So I close that tab, I open this tab. Because I mentioned the editors. Jordan D. White. I have not... anyone who wants to defend this man, I will make another video separate to this, just trashing this human being and his hashtag #CatchUpJanuary. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm new to Twitter, but when I saw that tweet from today and I saw the thread of how this man is catching up to comic books, I couldn't... it's inexcusable. And to think that he started with Star Wars comics because he needed to catch up. He decided, let me go to this other universe that knowledge of this will have no ramifications on the actual 616 continuity stuff that matters to me. This is the same dude who did Age of X-Men. So I'm so upset with that man, and I'll tag him too when I do the video. That's rude. We shouldn't do that. But I can't believe what I saw from him. I couldn't believe what I read from over here. With Laura probably being enhanced, because at the very end of the comic, it appears that her, Sink, and Darwin, characters I remember, are gonna be really, really old. Now, Darwin's fine. He'll just adapt. Like, the way he got out of Deadly Genesis was sick. This man, Darwin, is going to adapt. Sink is going to copy the power, and he'll copy Laura's power also, so he'll come out of it alive. Laura will come back out of it a little bit older. Why is that significant to me? Because I know that in the comic books, movies, these characters will actually age. So when we get a Laura X-23, we'll actually have source material that has Laura's adventures as I guess she'd come back maybe in her 30s, perhaps. Who knows? But however Laura comes back, I hope she comes back like a grandma. She won't. Because if we're using Wolverine as a idea of how she ages, Wolverine made it all the way to where King Thor was, and he was still pretty normal. But then there's the Dead Man Logan universe where for some reason he's a lot older, and it's only been, 40 years since the heroes, right? Like a couple of generations, because Peter Parker's granddaughter. See what I mean? In one scenario, in Jason Aaron's version, he gets all the way there, but in fucking Frank Miller, whoever wrote Dead Man Logan, Old Man Logan, he doesn't age that much. He does age that much, is what I'm trying to say. It's confusing. Whatever they settle with Laura, however older she becomes, or she appears, I'm good with it. Let's enhance these younger mutants. I like the way that Hickman treated these mutants so respectfully. So much like they're capable. Looking at the mutants as powers and saying, I'm going to write a story using these powers. I needed someone who can do this. Boom, I got Sync. I'll give Sync the call. Hey, you're up. He's like the manager. And he looks at his bullpen and he's like, we need this pitcher to show up to do this job. I love that about this. And I barely talked about this comic book, really. The fights with Wolverine and everything. I'm sure there's other folks over here who are going to talk about it and have a lot of comments on this. Artwork was on top. But to me, the main focus was her armor. I love her. I love Surge also, who's the other Japanese teenager. But this one's getting focused on it and being elevated. And I love that for it. Jonathan Hickman is on some next level. Like, even his fucking medical reports over here actually make a lot of sense. We revived one guy from one class, but it turns out he felt like the odd man out because everyone around him was not from his era. So we got him a partner. And because now that Sync has a partner who was living with him, Skin, now he can settle in. It's like, yeah, that's probably how things would have went down in that case. So the in-between stuff in here was good. The fighting was pretty standard with the plan that Cyclops had. And remember now, it's been 1 whole month, but the best guess Professor X estimated was it's been 537 years. 537 years. That's a long-ass time. That is, you know how we complained about Rey in Star Wars for not training and stuff like that? There's no complaints. Like, they can come out as the illest villains, more Wolverine than Wolverine. I guess that's the thing. He said, you are Wolverine, kiddo. He said something like that. That's another, like I said in the incoming review, where you had Peter Parker talking to Miles, and he was referring to him as Star Wars. How did I say that? He was referring to him as Spider-Man. I think that's the Marvel staff trying to say, hey, it's okay, you can like him, guys. Look, the original is liking the doppelganger. I didn't need that for X-23. She isn't Wolverine, she is X-23 in my brain. And let's keep it like that. Let's stop doing the renaming. Things with Flash, Barry Allen, Wally West. I'm not a DC guy, but I don't like that one either. You are who you choose to be, okay? You're not who you choose to be. You are who you are. Like, there's no swapping. There's no, I'm going to take this mantle. Because we know what happens. Captain America becomes Sam Wilson. Eventually, it goes back to Captain America proper. Who I couldn't even say the word Steve Rogers because they're so interlocked and my brain said Captain America proper. That's how I feel about the Wolverine thing. Am I complaining? Yes, I am complaining, but it doesn't ruin the book either. That's the review. Hey, check this out. The sounds of Chillmonger will change because the Blue Yeti microphone is in the hizzy. Things are gonna start moving, start grooving here on Chillmonger. So join me on the come up. That was the X-Men issue number 5 review. Legacy issue number, it doesn't even say. But I'm sure Hickman has a reason for that. I think like Hickman's actually like fighting Marvel, disagreeing with them and offering comic books like this where I didn't count the pages, but if I were to count the pages, I would guess that half of this, the artwork done by R.B. Silva, counts as one singular page, and other pages like over here, the artist probably drew and it counts as one page. So when I count it, I won't actually count 20 pages. I'll actually count 22 pages because of the halves and halves. It'll make up for. It'll count like a normal page. I like that things are different in here. It's not the standard storytelling. You can switch it up, and I feel like, and especially with the small print, I feel like Jonathan Hickman is really shaking these guys. And I don't even think they know that they're being insulted, but he's just like saying, yeah, we can do things. We can tell stories in different mediums on paper. Like, we can do white pages. We can do other things. We can have 3 pages of black, black, black to indicate that time has passed. And then Cyclops says, what have I done? What the hell was I thinking? Like, we can use older villains. I mean, we can use villains who were only used one time. Or we can create villains like the botanists, the gardener people. He's doing everything I want for him to be doing. Unfortunately, he only writes one of the 49 X-Men titles that are coming out. But he's killing it for me, man. And I'm not over-exaggerating that. He's succeeding in every way. Matthew Rosenberg did a phenomenal job too. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see the Matthew Rosenberg story being drawn out, where the mutants and the final issue, you saw Emma Frost make it so that the mutants were forgotten to all of humankind. And I was thinking, oh shit, when they do that in the movies, this will be the comic book precedent that was set, and that's what they'll copy. It makes sense for me. I would love to see a world where they don't know about the mutants, and then maybe one day like an alien would come visit them, someone that the Avengers know, someone that the X-Men know, and he'll be like, so where's Scott Summers? Scott Summers, what? Who's that? You know, optic beams. Like, that would be an interesting story to tell, and then maybe the Avengers would be the first ones to know. What? This is ridiculous. You mean you guys are being oppressed because you're born different? Wait, humans, we can evolve? This is awesome. Now, can you imagine? We don't need the Avengers to save the day. Can you imagine the scenarios that would come out of that? Unfortunately, it looks like his run came short, or he knew it would come short, but that would be a great thing to explore. But this Hoxpox version of the X-Men, which Hickman said in a podcast interview that he had powers of 10 in his brain for a long time as a way to fix the X-Men stuff. I love it. I love it too, because the way that he handles death and the way that he handles the whole reviving thing is different than Ben Percy, who just killed Quentin Quire, different than all the 6 X-Men title writers, all of them. They think, oh, okay, we can do death now? Great, I know exactly how I'm going to end this. We're going to tease that Kate Pride is dead. Is Lockheed going to free itself from its net and save her? I don't know. We just tease that she's going to die. Ha ha ha. This is great. I can kill people without consequences. Apocalypse. Apocalypse is dead. He's back the next issue. Ha ha ha. Professor X, guess what? Shot in the head, dead, and then becomes a sword. But that's it. He's dead. Oh, this is so great. No consequences. I'm going to shock the readers. That's not what you're supposed to be doing, other X-Men writers. Even though I like you, Ben Percy, and I like you, Jerry Dugan, and I like you, those are the only 2. Because Hickman is doing New Mutants. I like Ed Brisson too. I even like his second New Mutants story, where they're not in the Shi'ar galaxy. But if you are upset with that, I completely understand your frustrations, because you didn't buy the second story happening with a beak. You bought New Mutants for the main New Mutants were experiencing something. Oh, Hickman just killed Mondo and Chamber in New Mutants. So I don't know what he's up to. Are they dead though? I don't know. But they teased it like they were dead. So he loses points there too. That was a long one. That's what she said.